Shalom lekulam, and welcome to this lesson. This lesson is part of the questions and answers that it's a series. That if you have a question, and I think this question it's a question that should be made into a video. We will make the video in order for other people to benefit from the answer. And this question is very important because this question is based on the desire for a spiritual connection. And that desire for spiritual connection sometimes takes us to not really feel that the effort that we're making as we are studying Kabbalah and trying to apply the concepts that Kabbalah teaches, are really doing anything or giving us any fruit. And in this lesson, I'm going to try to explain that. So this question is based on a question from one of the students. His name, I'm not going to give the last name or anything, but I'm just going to call him Zach, in which he asked the following. Says, hello, I thank you for the teachings, and I have a question. Knowing that I am both an egoistic being and also that I likely have the point in the heart, as I have both asked for it, I am not solely egoic. What does it mean to give back to the Creator? I sense in my actions that they are largely egoic or egoistic, and I cannot feel the sense of non-egoism or giving back. Please elucidate. Thank you sincerely, Zach. So this question is very important. This is a question that all of us should be asking ourselves if we are walking truly in the spiritual path. There are times, even those of us who have been studying Kabbalah for a few years, more than others, that still ask these questions, still ask, why am I feeling far away from the Creator, or far away from receiving the pleasure that this work is supposed to give me? And that is very important. That's something that we should understand why it is happening. And this is what we're going to talk in this lesson. So I hope that you join me as we're going to touch this subject in more detail and explain everything that Kabbalah tells us about developing this desire to give, which actually is just a transformation of the desire to receive. And we're going to see how this is done in a few little subject, the Kabbalah cover. We're going to explain them, in a nutshell here, so you can understand what actually all this question actually is a big question. It's a question that is probably more than 10 lessons in itself. And we're going to make it in a few minutes. We're going to make an answer so you as a student can also look for yourself for these answers and these sources that we're going to be talking about here. Okay, so I'll see you after the introduction. Welcome back. So, like we mentioned in the introduction, we are going to be answering a question from one of our students, in which he's asking, knowing that he has these two natures, the nature of being basically like the Creator, having this potential to give, and knowing that he has an egoistic nature, how he can transform this in a way that he can feel it, because at this moment he cannot sense it, right? It's like, what is this giving back all about? How do I know I'm giving back to the Creator, right? And the question itself is a question that comes from the side of students that are walking in the true path, that are really questioning their egoistic nature and how the ego actually can be transformed into something that is useful for or walk for, or as modern Kabbalists would say, as we climb this ladder, why the more we try to climb the ladder, we feel farther away from the Creator. And this is basically what the question is all about, that you don't see the fruits of it. You still think or feel or sense that you're still an egoistic person, that you really are not giving back to the Creator, as Kabbalah actually try to tell us and teach us, right? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to explain this using different concepts that Kabbalah teaches. And we're going to explain these concepts in a nutshell, all of them, so we can then understand what is the reason we feel this way, where it comes from, and what is it that we need to transform in order to attain this type of sensation of doing something. Before I continue, I'm gonna say this. There is something called concealment. In Kabbalah, there's something called concealment. And this concealment, the Creator conceals itself and conceals certain things from us in order to make us feel a lack. And this lack will make us want to achieve something. So what you're going to see in your path is that it doesn't matter how much you study, it doesn't matter how long you study Kabbalah or pray or meditate, you always gonna start feeling the sensation of emptiness, because once you receive the light that will actually come in and give pleasure, that sensation disappears, and there's another want, and it's bigger. So Kabbalah teaches that the vessel is continuously growing in order to receive the upper light, but also tell us that we need to transform this desire to receive into a desire to receive, not for the self alone. It's a desire to receive in order to give. Now, as Kabbalah student, we need to understand that the ego is seen as the primary obstacle that separates us from the Creator. The ego drives us to seek self-gratification and personal fulfillment at the expense of others, which is contrary to the nature of the Creator, who is viewed as purely giving and loving, right? He's good that always does good. The Creator wants to give to the creature, wants to fill the vessel of the creature, right? According to Kabbalistic teachings, to return and adhere self to the Creator, we need to transform this egoistic nature into one of altruism and connection. And the key is in the word connection. We need to connect. We're going to see to what we need to connect. So in order to explain this, we need to explain some principles that Kabbalah teaches, okay? And these principles are going to help us understand what really we need to do in order to acquire or sense let's put it this way, to attain that level that we call, hashpa, the level of altruism. And the first thing that we need to do is recognizing the ego's role. The first step is to become aware that the ego's role in one's life, right? What is the ego's role in the person? The ego is not something that needs to be destroyed, but rather to be transformed. Recognizing how the ego drives actions and separates a person from others and the Creator is essential. We need to understand that deep within ourselves, the Creator created us as egoistic creatures. And there's nothing we can do about it. That's our nature. Our nature is the nature to receive. What our work is to make sure that this egoistic nature that is creating an illusion of separation among ourselves, that is creating as an illusion of separation from the Creator, gets transformed into a different force, a force that will help us to use its desire to receive in order to attain something bigger than ourselves, right? Which is adhesion to the Creator. Now, we need to develop the intention to give. The main work in Kabbalah is internal. So as much as you can see, a lot of Kabbalah books and a lot of Kabbalah teachings talking about things to do out there, like using the rest string or doing certain prayers at certain times, and praying the Arabic Koach and doing meditation with the 72 names of God, which are the most famous things are out there, right? The real work of the Kabbalist is internal. It's about changing the intention behind our actions. So I can be praying all day, but if my intentions in that prayer are just, egoistic, or there's nothing at all, there's no connection, then we have we're working in vain. This is just, basically works without the spirits of those works, right? So make sure that you have that clear. Okay, so a person should shift from acting for the self-benefit to acting with the intention to benefit others. And through these, the person connects to the Creator. The process is known as tikkun, the tikkun of the ego, the correction of the ego. So this is, developing that intention to give. We need to start developing this intention, this kavanah, right? And to understand this, we need to understand that the desire to receive, which we're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth later. Everybody, all beings are created with the desire to receive. This is not inherently bad. The Creator created us that way for a reason. But Kabbalah teaches that the goal is to transform the intention behind this desire for self-reception to receiving for the sake of giving to others and the Creator. And we do that by trying to imitate the Creator. He's good that does good. We need to become good that does good. And this is called basically attaining or trying to reach that equivalence of form with the Creator. We're not the same, but we're similar, right? Therefore, Genesis, it says, that He created mankind in His image, and it's because of that we have that potential to become like the Creator, to have equivalence of form with the Creator. The more persons aligns their desires with the intention to give and benefit others, the closer they come to resembling the Creator, who is pure giving. The Creator has no desire to receive, right? He's pure giving. He wants to fulfill the vessel. The vessel is us, right? The creature. We are that desire to receive. So, as we are this desire to receive, we want everything from the Creator, right? But we don't want it in a way that is going to break our vessels and is going to create a mess like it happened with the breaking of the vessels before the days of creation. And then what happened with Adam Harishon when he ate from the tree of good and evil, right? Of knowledge. Now, the third thing that we can do is engaging in spiritual work. This is called tikkun olam. It's we need to start correcting our soul, right? Each person is considered to have an unique soul that is part of the collective soul of humanity. We are a little piece of this soul called Adam Harishon, right? The first Adam, the Adam that the Bible talks about. This soul of Adam, when he committed the sin, broke into 600,000 pieces. These 600,000 pieces broke into more pieces, and each of us are a little piece of that soul. We are responsible of fixing the little spark, the little part of that soul that was given to us. In this way, we are actually helping correct the whole world as well. When we work in our own correction, we contribute to the correction of the whole creation. This is called tikkun olam. This means transforming egoistic desires into desires to give and serve. Now, how do we do this? There's some concepts that we can apply here. It's the study and prayer. When you study Kabbalistic text and engage in prayer, they're seen as a way to draw the light of the Creator down to the physical realm. These, in turn, help correct the ego. Prayer in Kabbalah is less about asking for material things and more about asking for the strength to transform one's nature. So we need to correct that term when it comes to praying and studying. I don't study to gain knowledge. I'm studying because I want to transform this little part of the soul of Harishon that was given to me, that I'm responsible for. And when I pray, I'm not praying because I want things. The Creator is not a genie in the bottle that will give you whatever you desire, right? The Creator will give you the strength to transform your egoistic nature. If you're working according to the laws of nature, according to the laws of creation, eventually the things that you desire are going to come to you as well. But it all depends if you're asking in the proper way. That is not egoistic, and it is for the benefit of humanity. Now, talking about the benefit of humanity, the next thing that we need to do is build in connection with others. In Kabbalah, it doesn't matter which school of Kabbalah you go, whether it's Kabbalah Center, B'nai Baruch, or other Kabbalah schools, you're going to find that they emphasize in the idea of spiritual advancements through the connection with others. By working to love and serve others, one can rise above their egoistic nature. This is a way to mirror the Creator's endless giving and foster unity with the divinity. And this is why Kabbalah teaches that the whole Torah, the whole study of Kabbalah, everything has to do with what is called love thy neighbor. The principle of loving your neighbor as thyself is a central teaching in Kabbalah. By loving and giving to others without selfish motives, a person can develop a state of connection with the Creator. We cannot connect to the Creator by ourselves. We are everybody, even though our egoistic nature makes us see that other people are separated from us, that we're different. And these days we're trying to make ourselves more different, creating different things in order to separate ourselves more, you know. That's a sign that the ego is growing, right? When we are separating ourselves by politics, by sexual orientations, by nationalities, by all this craziness out there, right? Without recognizing that in the root of it all, we're all one. We're one soul. And loving that neighbor is important. How do you practice that? It's important, you know, to belong to some kind of group, Kabbalistic group, that have the same ideas or goal when it comes to attaining the upper light. And it's with these people you're going to practice this as well. And also out there is what I call the laboratory, where you are going to be doing the experiment, whether it is at your work, whether it is, you know, while you're driving, people are going to test you to see if you are going to be applying this concept of loving thy neighbor as yourself. So be aware of this. This is something that all of us once in a while fail, right? Because somebody's going to push our buttons and then this concept goes out the window. And we need to be aware. Awareness, the awareness, constant awareness is important. The fifth thing that we're going to talk about is that we need to be able to work with the light. In Kabbalah, the Creator is often referred as the light, right? And humanity is a vessel. We're the kli. We're meant to receive that light within ourselves. The egoistic person, by changing their intention to one of giving, can receive the light not for the self-fulfillment, but to share with others. This sharing is seen as giving back to the Creator. Now, what we're going to see is the following, is that in order to receive this, I am making a better person of myself. Not because I want to be a good person, because of the self-satisfaction to say, wow, what a great person I am, right? But it's because I want to receive the light. I want to make sure that this light that I'm receiving, I'm doing it in order to correct the rest of the world. And that way I'm changing this desire to change myself because I want to be good, or as some religious group, would say, because I want to be saved. And I just want to be saved. I don't care about the rest. As long as I'm connected with God, the other people are lost. Who cares about them? That's egoistic. That's not even spirituality. In real spirituality, you do the inner work in order to connect with your other person, the persons that are around you, recognizing that there's no division, that we're all at the end connected. And through this connection, we are also connected to the Creator. So it's very important. Now, something that also we need to work is on breaking this illusion of separation, right? This is a teaching that is very important in Kabbalah, because the ego creates an illusion of separation between the self and the Creator. And not only between the self and the Creator, but also between everybody, between all human beings, Through spiritual work, one can dissolve this illusion and realize the interconnectedness of everything. This realization leads to unity with the Creator and the ability to give back in a meaningful way. We need to understand that everything, not only humans, but also the little creatures or pets, plants, the sea, the air that we breathe, everything has some kind of intelligence, and everything is connected. Our actions affect all this environment that we are, where we are living, and it's important to understand that everything is connected, especially to pay attention to this illusion of separation between human beings. We're all one. In the root of everything, we all share the same soul. We are one. Now, we need to understand that we need to balance reception and giving. The ego can't be eliminated, but it can be refined and balanced. It can be transformed. Kabbalah doesn't demand that one stop receiving, but rather that the receiving is done with the intention of using it for a higher purpose. Service to other and the Creator is part of this. This balance between giving and receiving is how one can transcend the egoistic nature in us and align with the Creator's will. So, to summarize this in short, an egoistic person can give back to the Creator by recognizing their ego. shifting their intention to one of giving, engaging in spiritual practice, connecting with others, and transforming their inner desires to align with the Creator's nature of love and generosity. This spiritual journey leads to unity with the divine and the ability to truly give back. But it's very important to understand that we are learning how to do this work, right? But this work has to be put into practice. And we put it into practice when we are in a group or we're studying with people that have the same goal, same desire, and that will help us develop this different intention, right? Now, let's go a little bit deep into two desires that Kabbalah talks about a lot, and it's the desire to receive and desire to give, right? So let's talk about the desire to receive, razón le cabel. The desire to receive represents the core nature of creation and humanity. According to Kabbalah, the Creator is the ultimate giver, right? And creation was designed to receive the Creator's goodness and light. The desire to receive is not negative. It is the fundamental structure of a system. If there was no desire to receive, there will be no structure, there will be no planets, there will be nothing. So in order for, let's say, a book to be a book, it has to have some kind of desire to stay the way it is, right? Does that mean, that this book have its own will to change into something else? No. I can change the nature of the book, whether it is, by pouring water on it, fire, something like that, but the book, it will not change unless something bigger happen, right? We can transform the book into something else. We can recycle the pages, we can burn it, like I said, destroy it and use it, I don't know, as a compost and things like that. We can transform that. But the book is always going to be a book until we desire that. In our case, we're human beings. We always going to be egoistic. The creator, a difference of the book, that said, I created a book, I made this book, right? I will change the book into something else whenever I want to. But in our case, the creator gave us already the tools for us to do that ourselves. That's the work that we have. So the desire to receive was given to us, but it's not bad. All we need to do is to understand that this self-centeredness and craving for personal gratification is just the beginning of something bigger. And in order to make us the beginning of something bigger, we need to recognize that the desire to receive that we have is negative from our point of view, right? It's negative to our inner work. When it's negative, we need to put it into the positive. How we do that? We need to transform it, right? We need to align with the spiritual purpose. This desire must be transformed to receive for the sake of giving. So we're not going to change this desire to receive from receiving into not receiving, because if we not receive, we cannot give. We need to give, right? But in order to give, we need to receive the light. So now we need to balance these two forces. And this is when razón le hashpiyah, desire to give, comes into play. This is the attribute of the Creator in us, in which we resemble the Creator, or we try to imitate the Creator. We want that equivalence of form with the Creator, in which we are givers that are unconditional, right? When humans cultivate this desire, they align themselves with the Creator's nature, the desire to give. This desire transcends egoism and focuses on bestowing goodness into others. In this way, it imitates the Creator's action. In Kabbalistic practice, developing these attributes is central to spiritual growth and achieving connection with the divine. Now, Kabbalah teaches that true spiritual elevation comes from transforming the razón lekabel, which is a desire to receive, into a vessel that receives in order to give. This means using one's desire to receive as a means to bestow light and goodness onto others. The process is like if we were ascending a ladder, where each step involves refining the ego and shifting from self-centered desire towards altruistic intentions. The issue that students of Kabbalah have when they're doing this ascending of the ladder and they're working with these inner forces within themselves, right, is that they feel no sense of advancement. It seems that the higher they go, the farther away they feel from the Creator. And this leads to the illusion of not doing enough, that we're not advancing spiritually, and that we are not doing the job properly. One thing that every student of Kabbalah needs to understand is that in order to reach something called Lishma, which is the work for his name, or for a name, we need to start with Lo Lishma, not for the name. So we're going to start doing things as Kabbalah students that are egoistic. I want to learn Kabbalah because I want the knowledge. I start thinking I want to learn Kabbalah because I want to do this advancement spiritually and that kind of stuff. And even though I'm thinking about transforming my ego and all that, when you look really deep inside, it's all egoistic. It's all because of myself, because I want to praise myself. I want to be this superhero, that everybody wants to say hi and acknowledge, right? And sometimes it's not everybody, sometimes just ourselves, basically praising ourselves, or ego, to see how good I am, that I'm doing these things for others, right? So that's the thing. So to truly experience life, a person must focus on the spiritual essence found within the heart. The heart in Kabbalah is, or encompasses, all the desires. So inside that heart, there's something called the point in the hall, Nekuda Shevalev. Everyone has a point in the heart, but it often lies dormant and unnoticed. This point, also referred to as a black point, is the seat of the soul and hold and the altruistic nature, as it is meant to be a vessel for the divine light. However, in the beginning, it remains hidden because we fail to recognize its value, symbolizing a state of spiritual exile. So, when we read, for example, stories like Abraham leaving his native land, or Jacob, wandering, the children of Israel leaving Egypt, this is a story of our inner work. This is a story of that point in the heart developing and fighting against the nations, which is the sum total of the egoistic nature in our heart, right? But this little point there is different than all the other desires. And what we need to do is develop it, right? So by elevating the significance of this point above our ego and giving it prominence, we can become a source of spiritual strength and enlightenment. This process involves shifting focus from selfish desire to recognizing the creator roles in our transformation. The journey of spiritual growth requires us to breaking free from egoism, and this is symbolized in religious texts, as we mentioned, the story of the Exodus from Egypt. Through divine intervention and wisdom, one crosses the boundaries between the material and spiritual realms enter a higher state of awareness. Spiritual growth involves stages of development. These stages are from lesser states of faith to greater ones, where egoism is transformed into altruism. In the advanced states, the soul becomes a vessel capable of receiving divine light for the purpose of giving rather than personal gratification. This process leads to ultimate spiritual fulfillment known as the end of correction. So you're going to hear that term, the end of correction. Gamar Hatikun, where one fully aligns with the Creator's purpose. Each step involves refining our perception and overcoming egoistic tendencies. But the more we overcome these egoistic tendencies, the more farther away we feel from the Creator, because we are recognizing that the higher we go, the more egoistic we feel. The more egoistic, somehow it's like we want more. It's what they call, like you trying to be a good person, but there's all these kind of things happening around you that are kind of temptations that are being given to you to see if you really want to do that. And the thing is that you feel these temptations, and because so you pay attention to these temptations, sometimes you feel like you fell down wrong in that ladder, or that you are not really close enough to the Creator because this kind of temptation is still happening to you. Now, the Creator is concealed from us, right? The Creator is concealed from us. This concealment of spirituality allowed us to develop genuine faith and work toward spiritual goals without being overwhelmed by the allure of immediate pleasures. This concealment also protects the spiritual realm from misuse by those unprepared for its significance. Society often values transient trends over spiritual qualities, making it challenging to prioritize spirituality. However, this hidden path invites individuals to rise above fleeting norms and pursue eternal truth guided by faith in the unseen. So it's really hard work for the Kabbalist, for the student of Kabbalah, because out there's all these things. And sadly, we have some schools of Kabbalah that teach that the use of Kabbalah can also bring physical things, money, business, love, and other kind of stuff, And yes, these things happen, but it's not the most important thing in Kabbalah. The most important thing is addition to the Creator, and we do that through transforming our egoistic nature into a nature that wants to give to the Creator, and we do this by transforming this desire to receive into the desire to receive in order to give to others. And in this way, we connect to the Creator. In this way, we are transforming ourselves into creatures that are similar to the Creator, that have that point in the heart, developing bigger and bigger and bigger to the point that we can achieve this complete tikkun of our soul. Now, there's other concepts that we're going to be talking, right? Because we go, all right, so all this and what do I need to do, right? Why this is important? So one of the concepts that we're going to talk is, in order to finish this lesson with some kind of what I call, practical Kabbalah, we're going to talk about this concept. We need to be aware of our egoism. We need to develop intention, study spiritual texts, join a spiritual community, practice acts of bestowal, have time for prayer and connection to the Creator, and have consistency and patience, which is very important. I apologize. I'm recovering from bronchitis, so if you see me a little bit out of breath, it's because of that, but I'm trying my best here. All right. So let's talk about awareness of egoism. What to do, right? How can we become more aware of our egoism? What you need to do is reflect on your motivations and recognize how much of your actions are driven by self-interest. So let's say I'm studying, to have an example, the path of the just, right? So I'm studying Mesilat Yesharim, and I'm studying because I want to know what the book is all about, right? And then once I study this group, I'm going to talk to other people about how great this book is, what is its core teaching and all that. And then what? Is that going to help me advance spiritually? It depends. If you're studying the group to gain knowledge and you want to share that knowledge with others, there's nothing wrong with that. People are going to benefit from it, right? But you have to look at that desire. What is it that you want to do it so you can put yourself out there, like if you were a master teacher or something like that, which is nothing wrong with that too, the big Kabbalah said, make yourself a rabbi, buy yourself a friend, right? It's important to connect to others, but the thing is, what is the intention? Am I doing this because I really want to share this light with others to advance the spiritual path of all humanity, or I'm just doing it for self-gratification? So this is important things that we need to understand. The first step to transformation is becoming aware of egoism as a barrier to spiritual growth. This realization is called the recognition of evil in Kabbalah. Once we recognize we're evil, that our core nature is egoistic, that's the first step. It's like a person that suffers from some kind of drug use and things like that. First, they need to recognize that they have a problem so they can work in solving that problem. So it's the same thing with us. We have an addiction, it's called egoism, and we need to recognize it. We need to understand that we are that kind of creature that is egoistic. The next is developing intentions, Kabbalah. So what you need to do is work on shifting your intentions from what is it for me, like I mentioned about reading the book and sharing, what the book has with others. What's in it for me? How can I give or contribute to others? This can be practicing everyday interactions by focusing on the needs of others instead of the need of ourselves. In Kabbalah, the intention behind an action determines its spiritual value. Receiving with the intention of sharing aligns you with the Creator's nature. So if I'm studying this because I want to share it with others, right, Mesilat Yesharim, but I'm doing it because the sole intention is because I want to teach it, instead of thinking I want to teach it so I can help other people advance spiritually. You start developing a different intention. Now you're doing the work not only because you want to know, you're doing the work in order to make it easier for others to understand the concepts that book is trying to teach. And I'm just taking the path of the just because it happens to be around my desk here. But any other book, spiritual books are very important to use in this inner work. But we have to make sure that when we're reading this book, we have the intention not to gain only the knowledge that is in that book, but to connect to the light that book is trying to reveal to us, and then have the intention to share this light, that I'm changing myself in order to make humanity better, that I'm changing myself in order to make my other fellow creatures, human beings, and the rest of creation, better. So we study spiritual texts, right? This is the third concept. Engage in studying Kabbalistic wisdom, such as the work of the Zohar, writings of the Ari, or the text of Rabbi Yehuda Ashlag, Bar Hasulam. These books have a special light. It's a light of redemption in itself. This is a light of correction, the light that will elevate this world into a different world, right? These texts provide guidance on transforming egoism into altruism and reveal the Creator's purpose. They help awaken the point in the heart, the seat of the soul, and connect you with higher spiritual states. Also, something very important, join a spiritual community. Surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that share the goals of spiritual growth and altruism. Participate in group studies or discussion where mutual support is prioritized. This is very important because a spiritual group helps amplify altruistic intentions, as Kabbalah emphasizes that spiritual work is most effective within a community. You cannot be a Kabbalist that study by yourself. You gotta have those people around you. For example, you're gonna hear, if you're studying Kabbalah, with a school that teaches Kabbalah properly, you need the teacher, the books, and the groups. You're gonna hear that a lot. The teacher is important because it's like the captain of the ship, right? And then the books is basically the map, and the people are basically the sailors of that ship. And everybody has some kind of inner work that they need to do in order to support everybody else. Everybody's important. Just don't make the mistake of idolizing the leaders, because the leaders, as much as they are the leaders or teachers, need the students as much as the student need the teacher. For example, I teaching Kabbalah, right? When I'm teaching Kabbalah, in this video as an example, I'm teaching Kabbalah, but there are times, that I'm studying things, and a student asks me a questions, and that question from that student now takes me to a different kind of research on my studies, just for the sake of finding an answer for this student. And then, just because of that, I'm becoming a vessel that is receiving in order to give to the student. And this is why the teacher needs to be humble, in the sense, that if we are teaching Kabbalah, we don't know everything. We don't know the desire of the students. We don't know what the student need, but the student with these questions, they tell you that we need to change the intention here from what I wanted to do to what the group or the student needs. And this is the importance of being in a community, because then this interactive system becomes a important environment where the person, including the teacher, can develop that point in the heart and ascend, because everybody ascend together. There's no way that you can ascend by yourself. You're always going to need others in order to do that. Also, you need to practice acts of Bestow. Regularly perform acts of kindness without expecting anything in return. These are physical actions, but do it anyways. And think, when you did this action, how do you feel? Is that sensation of feeling good egoistic in itself, or is it altruistic? Okay, so how can you do this? Like I said, it's physical action. This can be from helping someone in need to offering emotional support to someone. But do something, right? Altruistic actions cultivate the habit of giving and make the transition from egoistic to altruistic altruism that is an altruism that is tangible. All right, something that we're physical beings, so we're beings that not only sense things. We're emotional. We also we have a mind. So we need to sense from the lowest part first, our emotions, and then to our mental conscious part. So this will help you have a more tangible uh, sensation of being a person that is transforming his or her nature into a nature from egoistic nature, right, to altruistic nature, but more tangible and emotional, mental level, right? Just make sure that you are conscious, that you are aware constantly if your emotions, if your thoughts are egoistic or not. Also, try prayers and connection to the Creator. Pray or meditate with the intention of connecting with the Creator and receiving strength to overcome egoism. Do not pray with the desire to ask the Creator for things. I want money. I want my twin soul. I want, or these things are not important in the spiritual path. These things are physical things, are not important. If you want to transform your desire to receive into an altruistic desire, you need to work on things that are aligned with that kind of work. Therefore, when you pray and meditate, do so in order to connect to the Creator. And if you're doing it in you're practicing in a spiritual community, all this community gonna have the same Kabbalah, same intention, the desire to connect with the Creator. So therefore, the force is bigger, right? Kabbalah views prayer as a tool for aligning your desires with the Creator's will and requesting help to transform your nature. So you will not change your nature if you're asking for money, right? You can ask for money, but that's not the kind of prayer the Creator is going to answer. The Creator wants you to change your nature, and money will come, as a result of you changing your nature and doing what you're supposed to. Now, something that is very important is you have to be consistent and patient. Commit to these practices consistently and understand that the transformation is a gradual process. It doesn't happen just right away. You will feel sometimes lost, like I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not understanding the teachings. Those things are part of the process. That feeling of being down, that feeling of not understanding the text, not understanding, the teachings of the Ravs, not feeling like I am giving back to the Creator, that's part of the process. And it's good that you feel like that, because there's a lack. There's something that needs to be changed. There's some things that need to be fulfilled. Is that there's this direct light that the Creator wants us to receive inside. And we are going to receive that light, right? But we need to receive it not for our sake alone. So when we receive the light gradually, consciously, measuring it, little by little, we're transforming our egoistic nature into an altruistic nature. That's how we give back to the Creator. That's our Orjoser. That's how we reflect the light to the Creator. We give back. But there's another light, that light that didn't come into our vessel. It's called the surrounding light, or makif. And that light puts pressure in us, because that light is our potential, is who we are supposed to be. And some Kabbalists teach that this light is the you that wants to be a millionaire, the you that wants to be, all these physical things and everything. It has nothing to do with the physical things. It has to do with spirituality. This is the you who wants to connect with the Creator. This is the you who wants to connect with all the creatures and creation. That's the Ormakif. If you receive properly, you will receive also properly. Just know that Kabbalah is not about using this knowledge for or physical pleasures. We will not, or in our case, this is not what really, the work is all about. The spiritual growth involves continuous efforts and persistent over time. And part of it is recognizing that if you study Kabbalah because you think that by studying Kabbalah you're gonna have good luck, you're gonna change your masal into good masal in which you're gonna have better businesses and things like that, you're not studying Kabbalah properly. Kabbalah is for the transformation of our inner desires, the inner desire that is egoistic, that desire to receive, and transform into a desire to receive in order to bestow. Then you're gonna see that all that you have in life and everything, you're gonna feel grateful for it. You're gonna feel like the Creator has given you exactly what you need, not what you want, but what you need, right? Because it is according to those levels. You will receive quality instead of quantity. So make sure you understand that. Now, back to the original question, right? From the student, I sense in my actions that they're largely egoistic. And that's basically how a Kabbalah student, feels when the person start walking the proper path. I cannot feel the sense of non-egoism or giving back. And that's the level that is called the recognition of evil. That we recognize that we're evil, that we recognize we're egoistic, and we recognize that there is not a sense of altruism in our being. What can we do to do that? We just went over it. Make sure you watch this video once or twice. Ask your questions in the comments below or in the website. But just understand that if you feel that way, that's part of the path. That's part of who you really are. That you're recognizing this other part of you that need to be changed, transformed into something good. Balancing these forces of receiving, giving and receiving, are going to help the Kabbalah student, understand then that this whole work, it may require, not only this life, many lives and things like that, but this whole work is worth trying. That just the work itself is the biggest pleasure a person can have. That even trying and not achieving what we think we want to achieve spiritually, still the greatest pleasure of all. Why? Because not every human being is aware and willing to do this type of work. So those of us that we're doing this, we should see it as a privilege, and we should see it as a great opportunity for us. Doesn't matter which school of Kabbalah you come from and things like that, but for everybody to come together and create this massive mass of people that will create this critical mass of people that will bring the Messiah, Mashiach, down to earth. This messianic age that everybody, prays for. So I hope that with this lesson, the concept of transforming the will to receive into the will to bestow has been clarified a little bit. This is just in a nutshell. All these concepts is a lesson in itself. Just remember that through these steps, you begin to shift your focus from receiving for yourself to receiving in order to give. And when you start doing this job properly, and that you not only recognize that you're an egoistic creature, but you also want to achieve and attain this level called the be similar with the Creator. You will start creating harmony with the Creator's nature and open a path to spiritual fulfillment in your life that is going to be tangible. It's going to be, some Kabbalah says, it's a pleasure that beats any other physical pleasure, the connection with the Creator. So shalom, and I see you in the next lesson.